Hey team, sometimes the Air Jordan 3 is not always as wearable as we want, so when we get a pair that does release like the Air Jordan 3 Pure Moneys, it's a fantastic pickup for our collection. You're watching Hard and Sneakz, so let's go and talk about it. That's right, the Air Jordan 3 Pure Money is back and it's looking more wearable and better than ever. With Jordan doing a lot of work recently in retooling their shoes to make sure they're more true to the original release of their silhouettes, we've had some real positive movements in getting the shape right on the Air Jordan 3. And I think the Air Jordan 3 Pure Money has had the best retro in recent times to kind of help show that elevated look. Now look, this shoe is really cool because you can dress it up or dress it down, and it doesn't feel like you're so reliant on wearing performance sneakers. I'd almost say it's a kind of grown up version of a Jordan, so I think for a lot of people this is definitely one we should look at. So with that in mind, let's look at it in a miss, maybe, or must rating. Starting off with, is this a miss? Now some people might find a very plain shoe like this a little bit boring, but you've got to look at some of the kind of hints this details. Obviously it's basically a triple white shoe, but those silver accents on that, the kind of toned down way they've done the elephant print, it just looks really high quality and premium. Leather seems to be quite solid on this. I don't have a pair in hand right now, but it's definitely something that I've got my eye on and the raffle coming out for soon, so we'll be chasing that. But it's just a great pair, so I don't think it could be something in that kind of miss territory because it's so wearable. If I look at it in the maybe or must territory, my big question about saying if this is a maybe versus a must is what other white shoes do you have in your collection? Now typically when we have conversations about things like white cements or fire reds, I would say a white shoe with an accent is kind of a common look and feel for some of the Jordan 3s. So if you've got enough of those, you probably don't need those. But we haven't really had many things in this triple white space. The only example I can think of where there might be a little bit of contrast and you've already kind of got a similar, mostly triple white kind of clean pair was the pair that released last year, the Jordan 3 Ivories. But for the most part, I just think this has got quite a different culture and DNA to what you would typically see on something like a fire red or a white cement. So for me, I think this is an absolute must because it's something you're going to very easily wear. Moving on to the vibe check, and look, I'm going to do this a little bit differently than I normally would. Now typically I would go through the most likely and most obvious vibe checks to the least obvious, but there's going to be a few that we have right from the get-go that look quite similar. So for starters, this is obviously a retro of a Pure Moneys. The last time that there was a Pure Money in a proper true release was way back in 2007. So this is obviously your vibe check for a more modern release on that, because even if you look after that version, I'd say it's long gone and the foam is probably broken down on that. That said though, for whatever reason, Jordan Brand basically released this shoe a couple more times, and it's only the slightest differences that make it different. So for starters, in 2018, we had a triple white release, and there was some slight differences in this. There was the translucent outsole on it, and there was a removal of the silver accents on there. But ultimately, you can definitely see this was very much of a similar DNA. This is a more better shape and a more modern retro of that. So I think this is a good vibe check for that triple white aesthetic, but obviously with the added benefit of being a more modern and better silhouette shape, as well as having those silver accents, which just help it make it feel a little bit more premium. There was also the silver anniversary of the Jordan 3, recognizing 25-year anniversary of the Jordan 3, and this one looks incredibly like the Pure Moneys. In fact, there is some of the silver accents on this. I don't know why it's not considered a Pure Money. They obviously did this treatment to some other models, so maybe they just thought this is such a good aesthetic to bring over there, but we need to call it a silver anniversary rather than Pure Moneys, so that seems to be the decision there. But if you missed out on that pair, and that was way back in 2010, so I doubt you have a good pair 15 years on, this is your way at capturing that sort of similar aesthetic. And I say similar when I really should be saying virtually identical, because this might be the most vibe check month we've ever had on a pair of shoes, because the triple white treatment is so similar from the Pure Moneys to the silver anniversaries to the triple whites. Very similar DNA in these shoes. And as I called in the miss, must or maybe category, I did say that there was a real similarity between this and the Ivories from last year. Now I really like the Jordan 3 Ivories, and one of the reasons I liked it was it had that sort of elevated look and kind of mature take on a Jordan 3. What I really like about the vibe check though of this is I really feel this Pure Money pair kind of takes what I liked about the Ivory and kind of elevates it to an even more premium look and feel. And when I talk about kind of premium look and feel, it's not really about materials I'm talking about. It's more kind of that kind of luxury Italian high fashion leather look that often doesn't sort of translate to performance inspired sneakers like Jordans. So I think it's a lot more elevated, and that's why I like the Ivory, but I think this pair as a vibe check does that even better. Similarly, there was another pair I called out a couple months back, which was the Jordan 3 Lucky Shorts. I felt the Lucky Shorts had a similar kind of feel to that too. The removal of the elephant print and kind of making the kind of clean sort of flat leather look. It did look a little bit more luxury, high fashion sort of look, but this again kind of captures those similar notes, elevates it, strips out that need of that sort of university blue accent color and becomes a heck of a lot more wearable. So if you're after a vibe check of an all white Jordan 3 or a more elevated Jordan 3, I think this pair, the Air Jordan 3 Retro of the Pure Moneys, does a fantastic job at ticking those boxes. Up next, it's time to ask Brooklyn what she thinks of this shoe, and is it a near miss or is it a near misses? Now, we did talk before about the Lucky Shorts kind of having a similar DNA. She found that shoe boring, and that at least had the benefit of an accent color, so I'm really curious to see what she thinks of this pair. Personally, she wears all white shoes all the time, so I think she might like this, but you never know with her. So let's see, is it a near miss or is it a near misses?
Y'all know I don't like Jordan 3. The heebie-jeebiness of it. I don't know what it's called. So it kind of looks like
The elephant print.
the elephant. I absolutely dislike that at all. It makes me feel tingly in a good way. So I do like the colours. It is neutral. I do like a neutral shoe. I do like a white shoe with a little bit different as well. So that takes that box. But everything overall is enough. But if I had to give it a people star rating, I might give it a 4. It doesn't quite tick that. I could pass because I don't like the heebie-jeebiness of it.
I'd have to check our old videos, but that still might be your best rating for a Jordan 3.
Probably because of the colours, because I don't particularly enjoy these ones.
And is it a near miss or is it a near misses?
It's a near miss!
Thanks, babe, for making time for the channel. And I thought you were going to like this. I thought it was going to be a near misses and not a near miss, but apparently I was wrong. Maybe it is too boring. Maybe it is something that there are other white alternatives that we can look at. I've got a great pair of Kobe to show you, and you can do a review on that soon. But let's put a pause on that and instead look at our final thoughts on the Air Jordan 3 Pure Moneys. Alright team, that's game time. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below, is this a clean, cool, wearable pair, or is it just boring? I'm leaning on clean and cool, but I'm keen to see what the general consensus is, so let me know in the comment section below. In the meantime, feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.